Typically, fire alarm indicating devices are not required in outdoor areas, even if it is considered a dining patio on the first floor. However, the authority having jurisdiction, abbreviated as AHJ, may require a smoke detector in the enclosed portion of the patio, if any, to protect the interior space. Similarly, fire alarm indicating devices are generally not required in outdoor areas, including roof decks. However, in some cases, the AHJ may require smoke detectors in enclosed or semi-enclosed areas on the roof deck to protect the interior space. Fire alarm indicating devices are not required on individual balconies of condos. This is because the balconies are typically considered part of the individual unit and not a common area. If a fire alarm activates in the common area, it would be audible through closed doors and windows of the condo units, including the balconies. It's important to understand the nuances of fire alarm system requirements for outdoor and semi-outdoor spaces such as patios, roof decks, and balconies, particularly in the context of commercial and residential buildings. While the specifics can vary based on local codes and the interpretation of the AHJ, there are general principles and common practices that guide these installations. Firstly, let's address the outdoor dining patio on the first floor. In most jurisdictions, fire alarm indicating devices such as horns, strobes, or speakers are typically not mandated for open-air outdoor dining patios. The rationale behind this is that the primary purpose of these devices is to alert occupants within enclosed structures to the presence of a fire, enabling them to evacuate safely. Outdoor areas are generally considered to be naturally ventilated and provide a direct means of escape, reducing the necessity for auditory or visual alarms. However, it's crucial to consider any enclosed or partially enclosed sections within a patio area. For example, if the patio includes a covered structure with walls, even if partially open, the AHJ might require the installation of smoke detectors within this enclosed space. The intent is to provide early warning of a fire originating within the enclosed area, thereby protecting the interior spaces of the building. These smoke detectors would typically be connected to the building's main fire alarm control panel, triggering an alarm throughout the building upon detection of smoke. Now let's consider the roof deck dining area. Similar to the first floor patio, open-air roof decks generally do not require fire alarm indicating devices. The same principles apply. The area is considered naturally ventilated, and occupants have a direct means of escape. However, if the roof deck includes enclosed or semi-enclosed areas, such as a covered bar or a small indoor dining space, smoke detectors may be required within these areas. The AHJ decision will depend on the specific configuration of the roof deck and the potential fire hazards present. For instance, if there is a kitchen or cooking area on the roof deck, additional fire suppression systems, such as a wet chemical system for cooking appliances, may be required in addition to smoke detection. It's also important to consider the accessibility of the roof deck. If the roof deck is accessible to the general public or serves as an extension of a restaurant or bar, the AHJ may impose stricter fire safety requirements to ensure the safety of all occupants. This could include emergency lighting, clearly marked exit paths, and adequate fire extinguishers. Moving on to balconies of a condo, fire alarm indicating devices are generally not required on individual balconies. Balconies are typically considered part of the individual condo unit and not a common area. As such, the responsibility for fire safety within the unit, including the balcony, usually falls on the unit owner. If a fire alarm activates in the common areas of the condo building, such as hallways, stairwells, or lobbies, the audible alarm is expected to be heard within the individual units, even with doors and windows closed. Modern built-in codes often require a certain level of sound transmission through walls and doors to ensure that alarms are audible throughout the unit. However, it's important to note that this does not preclude the installation of additional smoke detectors or fire alarm devices within the individual condo unit. Many condo owners choose to install their own smoke detectors and carbon monoxide detectors to provide an extra layer of protection. These devices are typically battery-operated or hardwired with battery backup and are independent of the building's main fire alarm system. In addition to the general principles outlined above, there are several other factors that can influence the AHJ decision regarding fire alarm requirements for outdoor and semi-outdoor spaces. Firstly, the occupancy classification of the building is a significant factor. For example, a high-rise office building will have more stringent fire safety requirements than a small retail store. Secondly, the size and complexity of the building can also play a role. Larger buildings with multiple floors and interconnected spaces may require more comprehensive fire alarm systems. Thirdly, the presence of any unique hazards, such as flammable materials or hazardous processes, can necessitate additional fire protection measures. For instance, a restaurant with a large grease hood over a cooking area may require a specialized fire suppression system in addition to the standard fire alarm system. It's also important to consider the Americans with Disabilities Act, abbreviated ADA, requirements for fire alarm systems. The ADA mandates that fire alarm systems include both audible and visual alarms to ensure that they are accessible to people with hearing or visual impairments. This means that strobe lights must be installed in all public areas and common spaces, including restrooms, hallways, and lobbies. In some cases, the AHJ may require strobe lights to be installed in outdoor areas as well, particularly if these areas are frequently used by people with disabilities. When determining the specific fire alarm requirements for a particular project, it's always best to consult with the local AHJ and a qualified fire protection engineer. The AHJ has the final say on all code interpretations and can provide guidance on the most appropriate fire safety measures for the specific situation. A fire protection engineer can conduct a thorough hazard analysis of the building and develop a comprehensive fire protection plan that meets all applicable codes and standards. It's also important to remember that fire safety is an ongoing process, not just a one-time installation. Regular inspections and maintenance of fire alarm systems are essential to ensure that they are functioning properly and will provide adequate protection in the event of a fire. Building owners and managers should establish a regular schedule for testing and inspecting fire alarm systems and should keep detailed records of all maintenance activities. In addition to fire alarm systems, other fire protection measures can also enhance the safety of outdoor and semi-outdoor spaces. These include fire-resistant building materials, sprinkler systems, and fire extinguishers. Fire-resistant building materials can help to slow the spread of fire, providing occupants with more time to escape. Sprinkler systems can automatically suppress a fire, minimizing damage and preventing it from spreading to other areas of the building. Fire extinguishers can be used to put out small fires before they become larger and more dangerous. In summary, fire alarm requirements for outdoor patios, roof decks, and balconies are not always straightforward and depend on a variety of factors, including local codes, the AHJ interpretation, and the specific characteristics of the building and its occupancy. While fire alarm indicating devices are generally not required in open-air outdoor areas, smoke detectors may be necessary in enclosed or semi-enclosed spaces. Individual condo balconies typically do not require fire alarm devices, but it is recommended that unit owners install their own smoke detectors and carbon monoxide detectors for added protection. Consulting with the AHJ and a qualified fire protection engineer is crucial to ensure that all applicable codes and standards are met and that the building is adequately protected from fire. Remember to maintain your fire alarm and protection systems with regular inspections.